It's time to step behind the scenes and take a closer look at the Owen Sound Attack. This is Bear Tracker Weekly. Here's your host, JC Coots.
Well, hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 10 of the Bear Tracker Weekly podcast. Owen Sound Attack take 2 of 3 this weekend. It started with just a... I don't even know how you describe Friday night's game. You would not be using the word defensive if you were talking about the game for either the Owen Sound Attack or the Guelph Storm, but the Attack win by a football score, 10-7 on Friday night in Guelph. That then brought the Ottawa 67s to the Bayshore for their only visit of the season, and a good 67s hockey team was defeated by the Owen Sound Attack in a close one. 2-1 was the final score. Carter George looking good in that game. He would make the start on Sunday afternoon against the Flint Firebirds, a team that has proven to have the number of the Owen Sound Attack, and once again, Flint puts up 6 goals against the Attack. This time, it's a 6-3 win. The previous 2 meetings, both 6-2, and the Attack are glad they only have to deal with Flint for one more game this season. That said, on the show, we've got a busy one today. We are joined by a couple of players. Harry Nansi is here for the first time this season, plus Ethan Kindree, who's been back and forth between the Owen Sound Attack and 2 other teams, the Georgetown Raiders and the Lindsay Muskies. We'll be joined by both those players on the show today. Plus, Brandon Shaw, the assistant coach, breaks down the weekend effort. And the Media Room Roundtable gets together to talk about the Attack and also 2 big OHL stories this week. The Memorial Cup has a home for 2027, and a player has been suspended for, well, a very long time. We've got all of that covered in the Media Room Roundtable, and all of that coming up. Strap in. Here we go. Episode 10 starts now. Well, there's a few members of the Owen Sound Attack who have seen their games elevated to new levels, but none more so, it would seem, than Harry Nansi, who is right now top 3 in scoring with the Owen Sound Attack. He's in the top 10 in scoring in the Ontario Hockey League, and he is possibly a future member of the Toronto Maple Leafs after this year's NHL entry draft. Here's my conversation with Harry Nansi after the Attack's loss on Sunday afternoon. All right, Harry Nansi, the Attack take 2 of 3 games this week. Tough effort against the Flint Firebirds here this afternoon. It seems like Flint kind of has the Attack's number a little bit this season, but what was your perspective on the game today?
You know, we started the first period strong, even the third, but we slowed down a bit in the second, and the penalties killed us this game.
Yeah, the penalty kill, I mean, it looked great against Ottawa last night, but obviously not so good this afternoon, and really not so good on Friday night in Guelph. What's kind of been the deal with the penalty kill lately? Is there anything in particular that from your perspective, that needs some improvement or something to work on?
Well, not really. We just gotta stay with our structure and just play aggressive on the kill and block as many shots as we can.
You've had an incredible season so far. One of the biggest turnarounds from one season to the next we've seen in quite a few years here in Owen Sound. What do you attribute to the success that you're having this season? Obviously, I think getting drafted kind of helped with the confidence over the summer, but anything else you worked on? Did you bulk up a little bit this summer? It looks like you're a bit stronger on the puck this year.
Yeah, just worked hard this whole summer, and I'm thankful to play with my line mates, Tristan Doyle and Pierce Bowie. So, yeah, I think that's they're a big part of why I'm succeeding this year.
What was it like for you this summer when you heard that you'd been drafted into the NHL and drafted by a legendary team in the Toronto Maple Leafs? Not sure if you were a fan of them growing up, but nonetheless, just to be drafted must have been a pretty amazing moment for you and for your family.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. I was watching the draft like any other person, and saw my name up there, and it was a fun and an exciting moment for me.
Talk about what's like to go to an NHL camp. So you were with the Leafs earlier this season. What's it like being there? And you've got NHLers around you. You've got other highly talented rookies around you. What's that experience like for you as a player?
It was a great and fun experience. A great way to develop my game, and you can see can take a lot in from the older guys, the work they put in to play at that level.
You've got a new teammate here just in the last week and a half in Caden Taylor. I know you've had some time to play with him, and you've also been bounced back and forth between him and on the top line. What's Caden bring to the team, and what have you seen so far as a teammate?
He's just like similar to Zarowski, just an elite shot, a very skilled player. So, yeah, like me and Cato, we actually played together, in the camp together, so it was pretty fun when hearing his name coming to Owen Sound.
All right, well, obviously a busy week coming up for you and the boys next week, a couple against the Spitfires. Best of luck to you and your teammates next week, Harry.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, life for Ethan Kindree must seem like he's been living out of a suitcase the last few weeks, being shuttled up to the Owen Sound Attack and back to various junior teams. I had a chance to talk to Ethan after the Attack's loss on Sunday afternoon. We'll start with the game today. A tough loss against the Flint Firebirds. It looked like the Attack came out with great effort. Obviously, this was one that they wanted to kind of stick it to Flint a little bit today, but ended up Flint walks away with the victory. What were your thoughts as a player in the game here today?
As more of a team aspect, we kind of got away from our game. We were pounding them at the start. We just lost our game. I'm not sure why, but for my line, we had some good shifts, good hand-in shifts, and we did our job.
You're a guy that's kind of been in and out of the lineup as of late. In fact, it seems like maybe your bags are always packed because you've been recalled to Owen Sound, you've been sent to Georgetown, now you're coming up from the Lindsay Muskies. That's got to be a little bit difficult as a player, not knowing at the end of a game, am I here tomorrow, am I somewhere else? How do you deal with something like that?
Just go day to day. Just do what I can in the room and with the guys. And Lindsay, it's a great opportunity to get better and get some ice time. And I can't be more fortunate to get some ice time and play with guys like my line mates. So it's been good. But other than that, with the guys, I love being here. Yeah,
you had a really good preseason, actually, and I think a lot of people were a little bit surprised that you started off the season with the assignment down to Georgetown. Obviously, you've looked great when you've come back into the lineup, but initially, I'm sure there was some disappointment there. How did you handle that initial news at the start of the year that you weren't going to stay with the big team?
It took me a little bit to process what was going on, but when I went down to Georgetown, I got the opportunity I needed, and I got sent down because I wanted playing time. They want me to get some minutes and get some touches, and that's what I did in Georgetown. And then I came back up, play a bit, play for a couple weeks, and then get sent back to Lindsay and just get some touches. I just got to build some confidence, and that's exactly what I need to do.
Obviously, a lot of new faces this year compared to last year, and you were here for last season. What does it compare to based on last season? Is it kind of the same in terms of the atmosphere in the dressing room and the kind of players, the kind of mentalities in the room? Is that kind of same, or is it maybe a little bit better this year, do you think?
What I've noticed is we want to win every game. Last year, we were kind of playing for, if we get a tie, we get a loss. We weren't really – but this year, we're pushing for everything, pushing for every inch to win, right? We're a winning mentality team this year because we're not at the bottom, obviously. It's just a great atmosphere with the new guys, especially Cato and Wes, with that, bringing that energy and that skill with their aspects.
All right. Well, obviously a busy week ahead. Looking forward to seeing you play a little bit more this season, hopefully. And hopefully we get to keep you up here a little bit more than down in Lindsay. But Ethan Kindree, best of luck to you and the boys this coming week.
Thank you very much.
The Attack were hoping to make it a perfect 3 in a row on Sunday afternoon, but it was not the case against the Flint Firebirds. From the coach's perspective, here's assistant coach Brandon Shaw after Sunday's game. Another loss to the Flint Firebirds today, a team that just seems like they have the Owen Sound Attack kind of figured out. It was a good start to the game today. I know that your team they were fired up. They were ready to come out and try to turn their fortunes against this Flint team, but just did not happen today. What were the thoughts from the coaching staff on today's game?
Yeah, we were happy with our start. And then the penalties started coming. Our kill is kind of leaking oil right now. Trying to correct that. But, if we play like we do in the third, we probably get on the better side of that one. But it's all a learning process throughout the year. We just got to make sure that we learn these lessons and we don't let it continue to happen.
You mentioned the penalty kill. Obviously not a great night on Friday. 5 power play goals in Guelph. A couple here this afternoon against Flint. What do you think are the biggest things right now on the penalty kill that need some attention?
Yeah, when we are aggressive, we're really, really good. So we need to keep that mentality. We need to keep the mentality of we want to go out and get momentum for our team. We don't necessarily need to score goals or be in full defense mode all the time, but we need to make it hard on them. We have to outwork the other power play. Injuries are definitely hurting us. We're in over an 80% kill with Crawford and Mace and those guys in the lineup. So need some guys to rise to the occasion, and I got to step up and do my job too.
You mentioned the injuries, but there's likely some good news coming this week. It looks like Jake Crawford might be coming back a little earlier than anticipated. When do you think we might see him back in the lineup, and what does that bring back to the lineup to have a guy like Jake Crawford?
Yeah, he'll be back next week. Hopefully everything's good there. He brings a ton. He brings a lot of leadership. He brings energy. He brings a different style of game for a line, and he plays against everybody's top line. He's a little bit of an unsung hero for us. That entire line was when they were together, and it'll be really good for him to be back and help us out.
You've got a few games now to take a look at Caden Taylor, who was just acquired about a week and a half ago. What's been the thoughts on Caden Taylor now, and how is he fitting in with the rest of the team, do you think?
He's great. He knows a lot of guys here. Practice has been great with him in games. He's getting more used to our style of play, and he's allowed to kind of be who he is. You can see the skill. He can really rip it. He can make some really nice passes. He's just getting back to it. He wasn't on the ice for 3 weeks, so getting back into game shape and on the ice is coming, but no, he's here. He wants to learn. He wants to get better. He wants to play well for the team and for himself, and it's coming.
Speaking of getting back onto the ice, it's been 4 weeks to the day now since we last saw Matthew Kaprowski in a game. His last game was a 6-2 loss in Flint a few weeks ago. In fact, it was after that game that the Attack went out and acquired Wesley Royston, but we haven't really seen Kaprowski back in the net. He's back up rolled here tonight with Carter George getting the start. But just curious what the plan is for Matthew Kaprowski, and how's his mind and how's he handling not getting a lot of ice time?
He's good. He's been a good soldier. He's working hard in practice, and he continues to get his reps there. I expect to see him in the next little while here. But Corpo, he's a great teammate, great player. He's going to continue to work in practice, and when he earns his start, he's going to make the most of it.
Obviously, it's a big week, and they don't get any easier, but you get to see Windsor twice, a team that the Attack have had some success against this season. What's your thoughts on the upcoming week, and how do you prepare for 3 games that are pretty big here next week?
Yeah, it's always fun doing a home and home. You played those 2 games, and you get prepared, get ready for that. And I know these guys want to take on Windsor and really make a statement, so I expect us to be ready to go Wednesday, and then whatever the result is there, we'll be ready to take it to them in the Bay Shore again.
All right, well, best of luck to you and the boys this upcoming week, Coach.
Thanks so much.
Well, the Media Room Roundtable was together on Sunday afternoon at the Bay Shore. We had a chance to cover a couple big stories in the Ontario Hockey League this week, plus talk about the Attack's weekend that was off to a great start when we had this conversation before the Attack's 6-3 loss to Flint on Sunday afternoon. Okay. All right, Media Room Roundtable, we are gathered here before the Attack take on the Flint Firebirds and what could be their 3rd win in as many days. Great effort against the Ottawa 67s last night, and then a heck of a back-and-forth game on Friday night in Guelph. What have we think or thought of the effort so far this weekend? The Attack said they wanted to be a little more structured defensively. That didn't happen Friday night, but it looked like it happened on Saturday, and what would have been otherwise been a pretty tough weekend has looked pretty good so far.
Matt, why don't you start things off?
I think that they can be satisfied with the fact that they picked up 2 wins, regardless of how they came. So we know that the Attack have been a struggling team the past few weeks. Actually, the win over Ottawa was the first time Owen Sound had won back-to-back games since October 29th through November 2nd, when they won 3 in a row over Sarnia, Sudbury, and Erie. So it had been essentially 3 weeks since they'd strung together back-to-back wins. So regardless of the fact that maybe Friday's game against the Guelph Storm wasn't a coach's dream when there was 17 goals combined in that game, I think that the Attack were happy they got the win, and happy they got the win another way against the Ottawa 67s, narrowly, just with that buzzer at the end.
I'll say this, 4 points coming into this weekend, getting 4 points, I should say, to me would have been a success. So whatever happens here today, and I know this will drop following the game against Flint, but what happens here today, if you can get a point, if you can get 2, I think no matter what, this is a successful weekend. And I'll say this about good hockey teams, is that how many times we've seen teams right here in Owen Sound that just can't really find a way to win. Doesn't mean they're playing bad. They could be playing really well. They just can't find a way to win. I look at it thinking, even if Owen Sound isn't playing the perfect game or right up to the level that they want to play, but they're still finding a way to get points in the standings, especially in November, I'm all good with that. There's lots of time, but you want to keep pace in what is a logjam in the Western Conference.
Yeah, and I thought last night's win was impressive because they proved to themselves that they can win playing a more structured game against a really good defensive team. Ottawa had come in here with points in 11 straight without giving up more than 3 goals in that whole entire time. So they're Dave Cameron coached defensive.
They still haven't
team.
given up 3 goals, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. They only gave up 2, but it doesn't count if you lose.
Exactly, that's the point.
So it's like a football team that can win airing it out, or they can win running the football. It's harder to play defense against because you don't know what's coming at you. And if they can prove, it might have been a one-off, that type of structured game. There might be a little jellyfish to them yet.
Yeah, you know what, Greg, I'll segue into this because you and I talked about it on the CFOS pregame show ahead of Ottawa, and it was really about a conversation about we're 2 months into the season, about a third of the way done the regular season schedule in terms of games played. And do you have a solid sense of what this Owen Sound Attack team is in terms of identity? Now, we were having this conversation, blind to the fact that they're about to play a 2-1 game with tight defensive structure and find a way to win that style. But really, by the numbers, the Attack have been a team this season that can score goals. They're second in the OHL for goals for per game. They fire the most shots on goal per game. So to me, the numbers tell a story about a team that is an offensive team, and maybe they embrace that more going forward. I don't know, but if there is an identity that they do have through the first 2 months of the season, it's that they have guys on their roster that can shoot the puck and score and generate offense.
Yeah, and I think the problem with that is, even just in talking to Noah Roberts after the game yesterday, who's been in this league a long time, it's great to be able to score goals before Christmas, but in the playoffs, how many 10-7 games do you see? Not many. Mm-hmm. You're more likely to win a 2-1 game like
maybe a few in the first round
last night. Maybe when those 8 seeds are in there mucking up against the Londons of the world, or the North Bay Battalion. You never know who's going to finish first in either conference.
Caden Taylor's had just over a week now with the team. Seems to be trying to find where he fits in, and now it seems to be that's on the top line with Pierce Bowie and Tristan DeLow. They're going to play together again today. But what have we noticed about his game? Do you like his game and what he brings to the table? And is this something that could pay off big for Dale DeGray down the road?
It's really hard to say. I think it's such a small sample size. I'm not sure we've seen exactly what Caden Taylor is going to be. We've heard a lot about what he could be, and there's been a couple flashes where he's let his shot go, and we know he's got a cannon. He had a nice assist the other night in the game against the Guelph Storm, so the playmaking is there. But you're playing alongside 2 players that are just tearing it up, in Pierce Bowie and Tristan DeLow, amongst the leading scorers in the league. I just want to see where Caden Taylor ends up once the Attack start to get back to full strength in terms of getting bodies back. I know Jake Crawford could be back soon. Wesley Royston will be back in the lineup after today's game with his suspension done. Still a little way for Mason Ray, but where does he slot in? And if he's not on a top line, can he do what he has to do in a bottom 6 role potentially? Is he on a second line maybe? Is he on that third line? I still think he's got to go out there and continue to prove and earn his ice time. But I like when coaches give new players a chance to succeed. They put you in those spots right away. They don't say you got to go out there necessarily and earn it. They're saying, we know what you've got, so go out there, show us, and you'll stay there. So it's still, I still think this is all essentially a little bit of a tryout right now for Caden Taylor to find his spot on this team.
It's the unspoken truth in hockey. If you can shoot the puck like we saw Cole Zarowski do off the wing and score an easy goal for your team that ends up being the winning goal in a 2-1 game, you're going to get a lot more rope in the defensive side of the game from the coaches and the effort side of the game from the coaches, because it's so hard to score goals, except for against Guelph apparently. that you just get a lot more rope, and he's going to get a lot of rope new with this team. It didn't work out for him in Peterborough. He is who he is. Like, I just love that about him. He's unabashedly Caden Taylor. You know, he's going to go out there. He's going to survey the scene, pick his spots, look for offense. He hunts sort of like Sikora does, and that could frustrate coaches because you want them dictating the play rather than reacting to the play and looking for your chances for offense sometimes. But I think he's fun to watch. We haven't seen, I don't think, the offense he can produce yet at any level in this league. Like his minor league numbers were insane, but you can see snippets of it. The shot, if you come watch a practice and sit with the gentleman in the stands, you'll see him, like the ability to make passes, the creativity. You see some things, and will that translate to the regular season in the OHL, the playoffs in the OHL? We don't know, but it's interesting. The Owen Sound gets the chance now to see if he can unwrap it here.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. It was a no-risk move for the Attack, essentially a couple of mid-round draft picks, and they were in a spot where they needed to add a forward, so it makes a lot of sense from Owen Sound's perspective, and I agree with the way Mark put it. I don't know, essentially it's an opportunity for Caden Taylor to try to showcase his game and carve out a role for himself with the Attack.
We'll cover some of the big news in the OHL this week, and one of them is that the Ontario Hockey League has decided when it comes to Memorial Cup, the Mall is the place to be. Guelph gets the Memorial Cup. Is this anybody surprised by that decision over Kitchener? I think Kitchener, by just the fact that they had the bigger building, seemed to be the shoo-in, but not the case here. About the same drive for us from here anyway, but anybody excited about Guelph? I know, Greg, you started some online fights over Guelph.
Yeah, well, yeah, I thought it was going to be in Kitchener. I think a lot of OHL, CHL fans thought it was going to be in Kitchener. But anyone who had that thought and is maybe a little bit shocked, I would recommend they go read Tony Saxon's story in Guelph Today about the bid the Storm put together and just how the romanticism of it. They started making popcorn in the building, even though there wasn't a game going on, so that when those committee members, and it's not the CHL president or the presidents of the league that choose it, it's a selection committee. So when they walked in there, those 5 people, they would smell hockey popcorn, and they had things like that. Every turn there was a Guelph alumni talking about how great and that mall, as much as I thought it was funny that we were choosing between one of the best rinks in the OHL and a place at a mall. I just thought that was funny to point out, and I got a lot of play on social media. But they use that to their advantage. They're going to convert that mall to a Memorial Cup Hall or something they're calling it, and they're going to have like a great setup there. So kudos to them. It's good to see that the league can say, you know what, they put together a great bid, and even though we're going to maybe get crushed because a lot of people thought it was going to be Kitchener, which is one of the best rinks, I think, in the CHL, that they stood behind a great bid and a great job by Guelph.
I said this yesterday to someone, the fact that it shows that it isn't completely about the business side of things. Not to say that you can put together a proposal that doesn't make sense financially, but what I'm saying is they opted to go with an arena that doesn't have the same capacity. Yeah, you could have sold more tickets, and I'm sure the revenue could have potentially been higher, but it gives opportunity for other markets in the CHL to at least have some hope going forward if they have to bid against whoever the big dog is in their league in terms of a big building and maybe a big market. So I think it's going to be great. Hey, it's happened there before. It was 2002. I know the landscape has certainly changed and times have changed, but they've hosted a Memorial Cup before. They have a history, this team, of getting to the Memorial Cup, the Guelph Storm. They've never won it, though, so they're hoping next year could be the year. But I've spent a lot of time in that area. I'll tell you, I think it's going to be a great festival-like atmosphere right outside that arena with all the restaurants, and I think the community will really get behind it. And maybe for Kitchener, that was one of it, because we go there all the time throughout the regular season. It's in a residential area, right? I mean, as much as it's this historic building in junior hockey, and I'm with you, I love it, the vibes maybe outside the rink won't necessarily match that of Guelph.
Can I ask Mark a question? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
You are in Guelph, not to take over the podcast, but I'm interested in this. On the ice, like we see what happens out west now, the host of the Memorial Cup is really, really struggling, and they get an automatic bid. Do you think Guelph might be in that position? Because it's not like they're lighting it up this season. It's not like I know the Guelph media and fans think their team next year is not going to have a problem, especially if they trade some of their stars now.
Right.
But what do you think about their chances next year of being a good hockey team?
I thought a little more about it after kind of everything settled down after the press conference on Friday, and I'm with you. I think they got a lot of work to do. They have some nice young pieces. Jakob Wysick, I think, is going to be a star player, but he'll only be in his second year in the Ontario Hockey League. Zach Jovanovski gave up 9 goals the other night, but he's got a pretty good record. He's playing all right. No, I think they're okay. Another year older. Some other pieces there, but yeah, it's whatever they can get back for Jet Luchenko and Charlie Paquette. And what I'm throwing out here, and I don't know all the inner workings of this, but I really think they're the kind of team that needs to consider a 2-part deal in terms of make that deal here coming to the deadline, and there's got to be a second part where maybe a contender this year who wants those guys to load up is then going to flip you some players in the offseason to bolster your lineup. In a perfect world, you'd get young players back, but is a recent first-rounder going to be a game breaker next year in the Memorial Cup when you're going up against the very best from all 3 leagues, or could you get someone who's going to be in their 4th year in junior coming back your way? I think George Burnett's got a lot of things to consider. I think they got a little bit of work to do.
And just so we're clear, we're talking about collusion. We got to collude.
I'm talking like, and you guys can look it up, and the listeners can look it up. I think it was Steve Mason got dealt, I want to say it was from London to Kitchener, and then Kitchener was hosting the Memorial Cup that year. After that season comes to a close, magically Nazem Kadri gets traded from Kitchener to London. I'm just saying, it worked out for everybody.
I'm not a member of this podcast.
Matt, I think you had a point you wanted to make.
I don't
and then
remember.
these two.
There's probably some wisecrack about parking lots or something.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
You're a mall rat.
No, but you make that point stands though. The negatives are still going to be the negatives. As much as the popcorn smell is great, and Dustin Brown is telling me how great the city is, you still can't park with your Dodge Ram 50. How are us Grey County boys going to survive?
Hey, you can take the GO train, someone said.
Oh, yeah, I'll pick it up in Shelburne. Come on.
Yeah, you take the GO train. I'll say this. Everyone can park at my place.
I was just going to say, we could stay at your place too, right?
Well, we'll see about that.
The good news, too, for the Kitchener Rangers fans who are upset that they didn't win the bid, it's only a 30-minute drive, so it's not a long commute to the Mem Cup. And, there's a lot going for the Guelph Storm bid in hindsight that maybe a lot of us didn't really acknowledge, and Greg kind of touched on it. Just the city and community involvement with the bid, the fact that it's the 200th anniversary of the founding of the city of Guelph, things like that matter. The city committing, already being clear with the financial commitment to the tournament or to the Storm that they're going to make for that tournament. All those things lined up for the Guelph Storm well, and I guess, it just worked out well for them. And it is interesting to think about where their roster will be, but I think it's impossible to know. They now have the ultimate recruiting tool for next season. I know agents talk, and they know they're going to have the ability to bring in players who might not even be playing junior hockey next year otherwise, right? So, there's where things stand today with the Guelph Storm, it's going to be a completely different picture 12 months from now on the roster. Who knows how much turnover will occur, but it will be pretty substantial, I assume.
The other big story for the OHL this week, Luke Draguska was suspended for the remainder of the season after a really ugly on-ice incident that looked pretty much exactly like the incident between Marty McSorley and Donald Brashear years and years ago in the NHL. The NHL ultimately suspended McSorley for the remainder of that season. The OHL has taken the same punishment. It works out to about 48 games left for Draguska, and it also means that when he wants to come back, not only will he have to take some training programs, he'll have to apply to be an OHL player again. Obviously, I think this is probably the right punishment, but what did you guys get from it? And did you think that the OHL handled this the right way based on such a scary incident?
I'll be pretty quick here, guys. I think absolutely. I think this was the punishment they had to hand out, and I think anything less would have been sending the wrong message. It sends the message that this is just completely unacceptable. You also need to send a message to players that maybe want to come to the OHL, whether they're about to be drafted in or players who are considering altering their path in this new landscape, that plays like that are just cannot and will not happen. So I think they got it right.
And not even just the players, but their parents. If
Yeah,
you're watching,
that's what-
if
yeah.
you're the mom or dad of a 15-year-old kid who's playing AAA hockey in the province and you see that get 10, 15, 20 games and the young man's playing again this season, you're maybe having second thoughts about whether you want your child to be a part of this or this operation. So I like the suspension. It's unfortunate. Like, let's not forget, he's a human being. He's going to have a season. He was a second-round pick. He's going to have a season of development stripped away. Hopefully he can use this as a learning opportunity and springboard back and come back and be the player he can be. What I liked about it, I just was looking this up on my phone so I can get it, and you mentioned it, JC. To come back, he has to take a league-mandated education, counseling, and community service program and appear before a reinstatement panel. So they're not, hopefully, I don't know the exact inner workings of it, but hopefully they're not just sending him home to stew on it for a year, and they're proactively working with him to better whatever, there's anger management or just whatever it is, do something productive with that time, and then hopefully when he comes back, he's a better player. And we should mention the player that was hit, Brady Blishag, I believe his name is, wasn't injured, luckily, despite how awful it looked.
I think there's something else in there, too, that mentions that they're going to use their coaches and counselors, that they educate players on mental health.
Right.
They're actually going to work with Luke Draguska as this all unwinds over the course of the remainder of the season, because you have to wonder what his mindset is too. It's inexcusable, but that being said, you want to help somebody learn from that.
Yeah, and that's how it should be in 2025. You slap the wrist and then you give them Band-Aid and work them back and try to do the right thing.
You're not going to come out of the clouds here with a
No.
Well, I think they was way too stiff.
No.
Right?
We need an old school opinion.
It's to me, it's pretty simple, and I think you guys hit on the key points. I'm sure that Mark, you said this a couple days ago when we were talking about it, but I'm sure Luke Draguska, regrets what he did, but actions have consequences. There's no place in the game of hockey for that sort of play, just not at all. So the OHL did the right thing. The entire play itself, it reflects poorly on the OHL. The way it was disseminated, it was the talk of hockey for a couple of days, and they knew that. The league knew that they had to send a strong message, and they did so, and I think they got it exactly right. We'll see you next year.
All right, gentlemen. Well, we all have places to be. Greg and Matt have their radio show to go do, and we've got to go take game notes. So
It's Greg and Matt now. See, you're already.
It's going to be your face on the boards here.
and we'll soon be Cowan's Corner featuring Matt.
Broadcaster.
I bet you could spell Blasig.
BLESAG.
I don't think
Nailed
that was
it.
right, was it?
Was that right?
That's definitely right. Look it up right now.
BLASSEG, isn't it? Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
I know how to spell it.
Guess
but
what?
I'm not going to bail him
Guess what?
Don't end the
Hockey
podcast.
Isn't a spelling
Don't end
bee.
the podcast yet.
not
Greg
a
has to look
spelling
this up. It's not like people have more important things to do here, Greg.
What did I
Were
say?
you
I
right?
said E. I got the E and A mixed up. Sorry, Brady.
Oh, no.
Sorry to the Blessag family.
And that will conclude this week's Media Room Roundtable. Well, there you have it. Another busy episode comes to an end. A big thank you to all of my guests this week, including Harry Nancy, Ethan Kindree, Brandon Shaw, and the Media Room Roundtable consisting of Matt Hermes, Mark McKelvey, and Greg Cowan. Thank you, gentlemen, all for your time this week, and thank you for listening as well, or watching. Listening wherever you get your podcast, watching on YouTube or possibly Rogers TV Grey County. Make sure wherever you can to like and subscribe. Follow the podcast. We're on most forms of social media as well, so make sure you give those ratings. And if you ever have a question or anything, reach out to us on social media. Always happy to hear your feedback. As for the Owen Sound Attack, this week they are off to Windsor on Wednesday night. In fact, it's a home and home with a couple of days in between off for the Owen Sound Attack and the Windsor Spitfires. They'll be in Windsor on Wednesday night. That is a 7:05 puck drop. Attack then will host the Spitfires on Saturday. Note the time. It's a 4 p.m. game on Saturday, November 29th. And then the Owen Sound Attack will welcome the Kingston Frontenacs as they play another back-to-back Saturday-Sunday at home. That's a 2 o'clock game next Sunday afternoon. Thank you again so much for listening. Enjoy your week, and we will see you next time at the rink. Cheers.
The Bear Tracker podcast is produced in association with Blackburn Media from the CKNX studios in Wingham, Ontario. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe at Bear Tracker Pod on social media and wherever you get your podcasts.